RD 400 master cylinder day or night. So there's the rear master cylinder. You can see the little circlip down in there. I don't know if we can or can't. Let's see. So I'm going to throw that in the ultrasonic cleaner. And this is a mess too. This is going to go in also. I don't know if that'll come removing the yellowing on the reservoir, but we'll try it, see what happens. But I'm going to put some hot water in with the simple green and let these ride around in the ultrasonic cleaner. Push rod fury. Well, if you want terrible lighting, this is the video to watch. But I just had this in for about 15 minutes in the ultrasonic cleaner, and the plunger appears to be coming loose. So you can see we're making progress, but it's not quite out. Using these non-marring pliers. There we go. Here it comes. There it is. Wow, look at that. You see that? That nasty plunger. Back into the ultrasonic cleaner. All right. Pretty gross. And then get some light into there. That's pretty gross too. All right, back in. So we finagled the circlip out. The front master cylinder, it's buried in there. And here we go. Check that out. Ooh. Look at that. It's gonna go back in the ultrasonic cleaner. I'm just gonna clean the bore out in here. Oops, spilled water all over. Oh yeah, the bore is nice and clean, nice and smooth. So that should rebuild just fine and function just fine. Got a nice clean bore, nice and smooth. So far so good. So we'll put him back in there for a little more of a bath. And then this guy, that's coming clean. So let's see, come on an angle like that. that. Here we are, master cylinder reconditioning. So last you saw this was all beat up, going in sonicators, having the board checked to make sure it looked good. It looks okay. I'm willing to take a risk on this one. It doesn't look flawless in there, but it looks good enough. And then I think it's a little less yellow, the reservoir. I soaked it in hydrogen peroxide for a day, but I didn't have a UV light, so I just stuck it near the window and hoped for the best. So I think it looks a little better. I think it'll look good with the black when the cap is on it. I used Eastwood paint for this. I used the Extreme Chassis Black primer, followed by a couple of coats of the Satin Extreme Chassis Black. This is an epoxy paint, and I use this on my H1 build, and it seems to hold up, so that's good. The other thing is, for today, we are going to, no, I'm sure I'll get comments, but I'm going to do the bike as a .5 brake fluid. So you're allowed to do that as long as all of your components are completely decontaminated and clean. Right? You can't just switch to .5. You have to remove all the brake lines, rebuild the master cylinders, clean everything, sonicate everything before you go to this. And the reason is the .5 is silicone and won't attack your paint. And I also think it may have some other properties. I think it doesn't absorb water as badly as .3 does. So you also probably noticed the switch, the brake switch is out. I figured out how to remove that. Although it did ride around in the sonicator. That should be okay. So let's see, this is the rear, that's for the rear brakes. We'll use that later. That's for the front brake. Some of these, getting the circlip in there, it's going to be a bit of a fun fest. So let's take a look at what's going on. Oops. So an order of assembly would look like this. So this will go in first, followed by the plunger, like that. Yep, and it's got sort of built-in ring to kind of protect the plunger. So that'll go in, followed by this disc, and then this, and this sits on top of it all. And so everything has to get brake fluid added. So I have a little reservoir here of brake fluid. So I'm going to start by pouring a little bit of brake fluid down in there. Okay. I don't want a giant mess on my hands. Literally. So that should do it. A little bit in there. Okay. Very good. Clean it up in a minute. Okay, so this goes in first. This is the part that freaks me out. So I'm going to throw this in there. And then I'm going to this is where I think master cylinders get messed up, is this plunger. Or this seal doesn't really want to sit in there, behave itself, you know, just because you tell it to. And I've seen them installed backwards. You take apart a master cylinder, like in a bike that I bought, it was in backwards. And boy, oh boy, that must have driven them nuts. The previous owner must have gone bananas trying to figure out why his freshly built master cylinder didn't work. Okay. I'm just going to verify it's facing the right way, and it is. Okay. All right. And then next is this guy. Just going to get this seal. Well, I probably shouldn't be using my fingers, but here we are. Okay. And this little disc. So I'm going to drop the disc in there. If you can see that, the disc is in. And now this goes in, like this, like that. Well, that doesn't want to go in. Doesn't seem like it wants to go in. So I don't want to push because I'm working on a glass table. So that has to go in, followed by a circlip, and this is where I do not have a clean way of doing this. Boy, oh boy. Let's see what's going on in there. So. Everything is still aligned. All right, I'll be back. Well, not everything goes as planned. This is the first master cylinder that has defeated me. So this guy, I felt around in it when I was cleaning it, and it feels perfect. But somehow the new gasket's getting caught on something, and it's getting cut when I push it in. There's some resistance, and it cuts it. So unless I can resolve that, I can't reuse this, which is a real stinker. And anyway, so that would be a disappointment. So I'm going to move away from this one. Also, I can't get these circlip pliers down into the bore here. they're too tight. So I have to find another way, another type of circlip plier. But these are usually solve the problem for everything. So that's going to go away. And let's do this one, see if this works. So I'll be right back. For this rear master cylinder, you have to reuse this plunger, which means you remove the old seal and you replace it with a new one. I'm gonna, so you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm soaking it up in some brake fluid. And it goes in like that. So the brake fluid all over the plunger too. Oh boy. That's no good. How am I going to get that in there? You really only get one shot at this, and then it's trashed if you don't do it right. That's half the battle. All right. Okay. These seals all coated in brake fluid. I'm going to put a little down in the master cylinder, just so to get all coated in there. Okay. All right, and same formula. Oops, get that spring out of there. Spring goes in, the seal goes in. And on this one, there's nothing else, it's just this. Okay. That's how that goes. Can put this guy in. See, I screwed up. Goes like that. Did you see that? Put all that together. Now let's see if these circlip pliers work on this one. They should. Okay, let's take a look-see-loo. Is that actually trapped in there? I believe it is. Wow, look at that. All done. You gotta put this guy in. He's gonna go in like this. Hold on. Okay. And then he's gonna tuck in there. Oops. Okay, there we go, rebuilt rear master cylinder. That's the easy one. Quite, you know, come on, who am I fooling? That's the easy one. I'm gonna put a little bit of brake fluid into these passages. All right, there we go. Now the front one, whole nother project.